In our last session, we had discussed the basic introduction to modern organization and management, and we had discussed regarding one of the definition or two of that in the class. So now, picking from that point, what I would like to tell is that organization, it can be any organization. Now they have different variety of goals. Now they usually direct all their energies, all the resources that they possess, so that they can achieve all these goals. So now if we take into consideration a profit oriented business, uh, their main aim might be return on investment. Now if at all the organization is some kind of hospital, they would have their basic objective around the care of their patient. And if at all it is an educational institution, their goal might be for teaching, research, or social service. So when all these things are said and done, this organization, they possess both human as well as non-human resource. Now, non-human resources, if we tell that are nothing but the plant, equipment, land, money. Now, this organization, they put to use in the service of specific goals. So, basically, this management is something, or it is a kind of force which brings together all the human resource that is there in the organization as well as non-human resource in the service of organizational goals. So, management is nothing but it is the process of getting results with people and through people. So, this becomes important that we understand that for management to work properly, it is necessary that they work along with humans and they make these humans work for the organization. So, this management, as you can see over the PPT, there are 5 M's for the organization, that is manpower, machine, materials, measurement, method. Now, using these 5 different M's of the management, they they act as a unifying force, and thereby they achieve the objective of the management. Management is nothing but it is a unifying force. So it is needed whenever people work together in an organization. So the managerial functions, it must be performed by anyone who manages organized efforts, whether it is a business enterprise or it can be a religious organization, it can be a military outfit or even a social institution. And when they do this work of unifying, they do the work such as planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. So these functions shall be performed at all levels in an organization, regardless of the fact which type of organization it is and what size of the organization is. So, the services of management are essential in all corporate endeavors. So, if I have to put it in very simple words, management, it is the attainment of organizational goals in efficient and effective manner. And this efficient and effectiveness, we speak we attain it through planning, organizing, leading, and controlling organizational resource. So now the question might arise as to what this management is all about. Now, this particular word management, it definitely is not a easy term to define. If we go through study materials, if we go through the textbook that has been given for reference, or any other educational source, now you would be able to find as many definitions of management as there are as many number of books on this particular subject. And there are quite a few reasons why this particular word has so many meanings. Now, it is neither easy to define what management is all about. So, the first reason is management, this particular term as a discipline, is a very vast and extensive subject. So it ranges from all different kinds of organization, all different types of business, and irrespective of what size it is, where the organization has been built, this management stands true for any of the business organization. That is what it makes this particular management a very extensive subject in nature. So it becomes, impossible to put all the essential features of this particular subject in one single formula. That is to tell, one single definition definitely cannot tell what the entire management is all about. So each person who has spoken about what management is has spoken about his own point of view in telling what management is, and each one of the definition is true to the fact of what it has been said. The second fact is that management, when we tell management, it is totally concerned with human beings. Now, the fact that somebody is human makes it difficult to be managed, because unless like the other ends we spoke, it can be machine, it can be materials, or the money. When we speak about manpower, they come with one of the element what we call as behavioral aspect. Now this behavior of a human being, it is highly, unpredictable. You cannot easily guess, or it is not as easy as managing a machine. Now if you want a machine to run, you simply switch it on. If you do not want to use it, you switch it off. Whereas human beings, they do not work this way. They have their own thinking capacity, they own their own behavior, and this behavior of human beings makes it very difficult to predict as to how they might act and react. And finally, this particular subject, management, as a discipline, it is still very young in nature. Now, if we speak about economics, it is there from thousands of years, whereas management as a subject, as a discipline, is of recent origin. Yes, management used to be there earlier as well, but never had someone recently spoke about it as a subject or as a discipline. So it is still very young discipline, and it is still evolving. And because it is young and evolving, there are lot of concepts which are continuously changing. So this management, it is like a small wonder. So there are writers like Allen, who remarks that the manager is one of the great unknown in the business. So when manager himself is great unknown, the subject that is concerned with this, that is management, definitely shall be a huge unknown. Now, most definitions of the word management, it basically gives one particular idea. So it is concerned with accomplishment of objectives through the efforts of people performing certain function. So if we observe each of the definition, the arrangement of the words might be different. The people who have proposed the definition are different, but basically it gives the common idea that it is nothing but the accomplishment of the objectives or objectives of the organization with the help of other people. So the first definition is given by Lawrence A. Apley, where he tells management is the accomplishment of the results through the efforts of other people. Now he is being very specific in telling this. So whenever an organization is there, definitely it speaks about a group of people working. Now, this group of people would be working towards attainment of some common objective. So, the idea or the goal might be of one person, but this one person will be unable to manage each and every aspect of the organization. That's where it becomes necessary that he tries to achieve this object with the help and with the efforts of other people. So that is what it means to tell management is the accomplishment of results through the efforts of other people. Now if we take the definition of notes, notes tells that management is a kind of art. Now this art, it gets things done, and this completing this work, we'll have to do it through people and with people. Not only that, this group of people, they have a relationship between them where it can be recognized as a formally organized group. So they have a economic goal behind doing certain things. That's why they would be coming together. Their individual goal might be different than that of a collective goal, but in the realization of the collective goal, they would be realizing their personal goal as well. That is main thing what motivates them to work together. So management is nothing but the art of getting things done through and with people in a formally organized group. And one more definition which is given by Terry G. I quote, management is a process of planning, organizing, actuating and controlling to determine and accomplish the objectives by the use of people and resources. So here Terry has taken a point of view in terms of what are the functions of management. So he tells management it is nothing but it is a process. What is a process? Process is something where we do things step by step, and once after all the steps are completed, we begin with the first step once again. So it is continuous, it is like a cycle. So it is a process of what? He tells it is a process where you plan something. Now according to the plan, to realize this plan, you organize certain things. So when you have plan and when you have organizing to be done, that is to be, the work which has to be done along with the people, it calls for controlling them. So you do all this work of planning, organizing, controlling. so as to that you see that the objectives are accomplished with the help of both the human resource that you have and also the non-human resource that you have in the organization. Now, if we go through different definitions, there are a lot more than these few definitions. You have definition given by McFarland where he tells that management is the process by which the people who are called as managers, they create, they direct, they maintain, and also operate purposive organization through systematic and coordinated cooperative human effort. So basically, if we see all this definition, they give a common idea where we can tell that you know uh, it is something what management wants to achieve with the efforts of the people who are performing it. And these definitions, some of them have defined management as decision making, some of them has done it as rule making and rule enforcing body, and people like Professor Moore, he tells that management means a decision making process. Now if we see Aplis definition, he tells it is personal administration. Therefore, for the sake of simplicity and even for convenience, we can broadly define the term as it is concerned with resources, tasks, and goals. So it is the process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling to accomplish organizational objectives through the coordination and coordinated use of human resource as well as material resources. So now this what we speak about: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Basically these five elements, it is called as functions of management. Now, yes, we saw management's definition, but management can also be viewed as noun. It can be viewed as a process. Management can also be seen as group or team. It can be viewed as a discipline, or it can also be viewed as activity. So there is a lot of scope how one can see management, how one can understand what this management is all about. So let us now see what does management means as its name tells, or management as a noun. So whenever you tell management, as soon as you hear it, the idea that comes to our mind is that management is nothing but it is a group of people. Now this group of people, they would be there who would direct some kind of activities that shall be done by other people and using some kind of material resource. Now all this work that are being done, that is the activities that are done by other people, the materials that they use, uh, in doing these activities shall all be directed towards the attainment of some kind of goals that we would have predetermined. So when we broadly see it, management, it may be interpreted as a resource and as a system of authority or as a class or elite. I'll repeat it once again. When we broadly speak management as a noun, it can be viewed as first one as a resource, second one as a system of authority, and finally as a class or elect. Now, what you can see over slide is that management is there. You have the view of the economists, you have the view of sociologists, and you have it as a system of authority. When management is viewed by economists, now these people they view management as if it is a factor of production. Now, when we tell factor of production, there is capital, there is labor, there is money, there is material. So, when all these things that are being used to produce, it makes an economist think that management as a factor of production. And the managerial resource, it determines the success of an organization. So that is the viewpoint of economists. Now when we speak of management as a system of authority, when you tell system, when you tell authority, it is referring towards a team of managers. Now, when we tell authority, they definitely are having some kind of power. They might have power to order or to get things done. So, now as a system of authority, it definitely refers to a team of managers who make decisions and also supervise the work of others. Now, taking into consideration the view of sociologists, now finally, or I mean, sociologists, they look at the management as a status symbol. Now, they consider that those who belong to this section in the society, they belong to a certain high class of group of people. So, sociologists they see management as a class and a status system. According to the managers, they are a distinct class in the society who, especially to have finally reached this position, they would have specialized knowledge and skills, and that is what made them reach this particular position. That's why they are viewed at a higher position than the rest of those in the society. Now, management as a process. I hope management as a noun you are clear with. Now, what is a process? Process is something we do step by step. Once we are done with finishing it once, we'll start over with it all over once again. So, or if we have to, speak about it further, uh, whenever we tell process, it refers to some kind of, interrelated functions. Now, what are the interrelated functions here? Now, if we see Here the interrelated functions are, as you can see over the slide, it is planning, it's organizing, staffing, leading and controlling. Actually, managers, they are recognized by the work they do. So, there is a definition by James. Now, this person, he tells management is what management does. The same way, manager is somebody who manages. So, this management process, it suggests that all the managers, they perform one or other kind of function in order to realize the goals that have been set forth for them to be achieved. Now, speaking so much about management, it is noteworthy that this management is always a social process. Now, something is social because it is related and concerned among people, and this concern here, when we tell management, is all concerned regarding the work that is being done by the people who are in this group. So, speaking about so much, a manager is somebody who sets the objectives of an organization. Now, not only he sets the objectives of the organization, he also provides the necessary environment that shall be helpful for taking up the actions that are assigned to this group of people. Not only that, he does also offers, incentives or rewards. So basically, to tell the salary or wages, what we speak. So along with that, he also offers incentives to those who show good performance and thereby help the organization to achieve all its objectives in time and according to what has been planned. So if you see through the diagram that has been given, at the heart of the diagram you have four of the functions given, that is planning, organizing, leading and controlling. Remember, all this can be done only when there is staffing. Or you can also put it this way, that planning, organizing, leading and staffing is there, and each of the element of the organization will have to be controlled. Now when we tell planning, it is nothing but selecting goals and also the different ways how these goals can be achieved. Now once after planning is done, you organize things. Now this achievement of goals or attainment of goals, it does ask for some or other kind of both human resource and non-human resource. So organizing is a part where you bring together all these factors of production together. Now, because there is difference between factors of production, it asks for the controlling that has to be done with all these factors. So that brings up the function of controlling. And because there is human being involved in the picture, these people are to be led. So that gives for the leading function of the management. So leading basically means motivating the employees to achieve the goals. And under controlling, we monitor or we see through the performance, and if the performance is according to what has been said, it shall be approved, or if there is any deviation, then corrections shall be made. So this happens in a process of inputs and outputs. So input definitely the factors of production which we can name as human, financial, materials, technology and information. So when inputs are done, it is processed in a way of planning, organizing, controlling and leading. The output shall be in the form of products, goods, services, profit that shall be earned, the productivity of the organization, customer satisfaction, and anything that you can see over the slide, such as achieved goals, products, services, efficiency, and effectiveness. Now, these two words, that is efficiency and effectiveness, these two words are of very much importance when we try understand what management is all about, or for that fact when you are getting this degree as a master of business administration. Now along the way, along all your 4 semester, you have to understand what does this words effective and efficiency do mean. In all possible ways, you have to understand what efficiency and effectiveness is. So that I will give as a DIY or do it yourself. So whenever you are free for the day, you can search over your internet, or once you come back to college, you can take the help of library and see what effectiveness and efficiency is and how does it matters in terms of management. So another way of looking into management is it as a team or a group of people. So as we discussed at the beginning of the class, whenever we hear this word management, definitely it denotes to the person who might be into managing every activity, every work of an organization. Now, you might have heard over news, or you might have heard in your daily life where your expressions such as management has declared a lockout, or management takes a tough stand against workers. So, when you hear such statements, it definitely refers, you know, to those people who are managing the affairs of an organization. So, as a group of persons, management it includes all those people who are responsible for making decisions and also supervising the work of others. So, if you can see through a slide, see there are different pencils all held together, and finally when you have to achieve the result, now there were 5 different pencils which were of 5 different colors. Now they do all the work necessary, and finally you have a pencil which is so colorful, which makes up all the 5 different colors. That is what happens in an organization. Each activity shall have its own thing to be done, but together as a unified force, it shall be one work that would have been done to achieve the final objective of the organization. Now, as we discussed earlier, management as a discipline or management as a subject. Now, when you were in your high school, you had subject like math, science. So, in a similar way, even management is a discipline. Even management is a subject. So, this subject or this discipline, it is a specialized branch of knowledge. Now, this branch of knowledge, it is especially concerned with studying certain principles, studying certain philosophies, certain practices, which are basically helps us understand what management is all about and what do people who are involved in management actually do. So over the years, especially recent years, management it has emerged as a separate field of study. Now it can be studied as a different subject, and the knowledge that we are speaking about this particular subject, it can be obtained, and the skills are necessary in the application of such a subject. In speaking about management as a discipline, earlier, maybe before uh, before industrialization happened, or even before this world came together as a business world, there was a saying where people used to tell, managers are born, they are not made. But once after this management has emerged as a new discipline, this particular statement stands very much depreciated, because the course that you have taken itself tells that the purpose of this management can be studied as a subject. It is a separate branch of knowledge. You require skills in understanding and implementing those knowledge. And you have thousands of institutions all over world which comes up with the different subjects in teaching what management is all about, what business is all about. Now we can see management as an activity. So what is activity? Activity is something we do. So management as an activity, how can we speak about it or what can we tell about it? Now definitely, without any doubt, it is a kind of activity. But this activity, it belongs to a separate class which are performed by managers. So what do managers basically do? Their activities, it consists of things like planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. So these activities, why do they do it? They perform all this work to get the work done, and to getting this work done, they'll work with people and through people. Now, having said and done so many things about human, they do have their both, they do have their limitations. The limitations might be in terms of the biological way or psychological limitations. So these limitations, it, because they have inherited this, it is difficult for human beings to achieve all their objectives single handedly. That's why we tell getting things done through people and with people. So that is nothing but to tell they'll have to join forces or in the organization, and by doing so they'll have to work towards a common goal. So you have seen the definitions, quite a few, and all of those tells the same. Now, one more interesting fact about this managerial activity. Uh, a precise amount as to how much work has been done can never be calculated. So, this management as an activity, it should be remembered, and definitely it cannot be measured in a precise way. Unlike, there are different other non-managerial operations like might be doing the work of typing, might be doing some other work regarding missions, where the output can be easily measured. But whereas the manager's activity, definitely to a exact point or precisely, it cannot be measured. Now, our manager, he directs the work of others. So, he contributes indirectly towards the achievement of the objective of the enterprise. That is where Terry has defined management is intangible in nature. Now, whenever something is intangible, it cannot be seen, it cannot be measured. But then do not get confused here. Management is an invisible force with a team of managers who are visible. So managers, you can definitely identify, you can say what their work is, but management, it definitely is an intangible thing. Now, uh, the output of the management activity can be seen in terms of employee satisfaction or the success of the organization. So that always is there, but to a very precise amount we can definitely not measure the success or the failure of the managers or the managing group. So the next topic that we have to discuss is scope of management. So what is the scope? Now, scope, put simply, tells what does this word as a management or this idea of management encompasses or covers. It basically speaks about all those elements which comes under the idea of management. What is included, what is not included. Now what is included is the scope of management. Now, during the initial discussion, we said that management is a very wide topic. It ranges through all kinds of organization, all sides of the organization. So that basically makes that the scope of management is very wide in nature. But then it can be divided into three different ideas, three distinct ideas which we already discussed. That is management as an economic resource, management as a system of authority, and management as a class or elite. Now, when we discussed management as a noun, that is what we said. Of management can be seen from the viewpoint of economists. How management is seen from the viewpoint of those who belong to a system of authority, and how management is seen as a class or elite. Now, speaking about the first one, that is, management as an economic resource. Now, if you initially saw the slide of the five different M's, now along with your other factors of production, we also have management included. So even management is one of the factors of production along with the land, labor and capital. Now what is factors of production? Factors of production is nothing but all that we use in achieving the goals of our organization. So now in the new modern organization, it very much depends upon how effectively these five M's of management are being used. Now the five M's are nothing but the money, material, manpower, machinery and the method that is being used, or the ways of doing things in the organization. So the effective use of these five M's, it very much depends upon uh, a lot of time on the quality of the management itself. So in other words, how effectively and economically the five M's are combined together to produce the desired result. So that is what it means to tell management, or that is what it means to view management in the eyes of an economist, or it as an economic resource. Now as a system of authority, we can take definitions from Harbison and Mayes. So they tell that management is, it is something which makes up the rules. Who comes up with the rules as to what has to be done, how it is to be done. So these points makes management both rule making and also rule enforcing body. Now, this rule making and rule enforcing, it normally is bound together by web of relationship. Now, what kind of relationship are we speaking when we are speaking about management? Here, the relation represents that of the superiors and subordinate. So, that is, people are bound by authority relationship. That is to tell, somebody can have the power to authorize something, and those who are being authorized, they have the duty to answer, or they have the responsibility to finish off the duty that has been assigned. So basically, if we speak about organization, it shall be divided into three different, levels: the top level management, the middle order level management, and the bottom level management. Now, definitely, managers, they belong to the top level management, and these people are somebody who determines the objectives of the organization, and they provide direction to the activities of the enterprise. Now middle management, if we have to tell, uh, people like departmental heads or work manager, finance manager, they belong to this group of people. They interpret and also explain all those objectives, all those policies that are framed by top level management. Basically, this middle level management, they transmit orders, instructions, and also the decision downward, and they carry the problems that are present in the organization and also possible suggestion upwards. So if we speak about the lower level management, or we can also call as first line supervisors. Now they are concerned with the day to day work that we do or the routine work that we do. Now, yes, finally, management as a class or elite. Now, sociologists. Who are sociologists? A person who studies the society or behavior of human beings or anything that is related to that of human beings or the society. It is called, they are called as sociologists. Now sociologists, they view management as a distinct class in society who are having their own value system. So the managerial class, it has become very important in modern organization, especially owing to its contributions to business success. So, as a separate group, the term management, it refers to the group of individuals who are occupying managerial positions. Now, of all the managers uh, who belong to the chief executive group or to the first line supervisors, they are collectively addressed as management, which definitely refers to the group. And if you see in an organization, they definitely hold a position which is higher than that of the rest in the organization. So now it becomes necessary that we understand quite a few characteristics of management. So what is management? So now the picture that you can see over slide. Now there are almost 20 to 25 of the different characteristics. Each one of it is true. Along with that, remember all these different characteristics or these various interpretations of management, it points towards three different things. The first one being management, it is nothing but it is a process, and this process, it involves a series of continuing activities, and all these activities, they are related with one another. So first it points out the fact that management is a process and it involves a series of continuous and related activities. Second point is that it tries to concentrate on reaching organizational goals. So that is the main important function why management exists. And finally, it reaches all these goals by working with and through other people and other organizational resources. So, first characteristic about management that we can speak about is that management, it is intangible in nature. So there is a definition given by Terry, and according to that, it is intangible. That is to tell it cannot be seen, or it is an unseen force. But then you have the point that the presence of it can be felt. Now, how can the presence be known? Especially by the results, especially by the efforts taken by the management, maybe in the form of production, maybe in the form of sales, maybe in the profit, in the form of profit that they'll earn. The presence, even though it is intangible, it can be felt. That is what makes management intangible in nature. The next characteristic of management is that it is goal oriented. That is to tell, management seeks to achieve goals. So these goals, there is a chances that it can be economic in nature, or there is a chances that it can be non-economic in nature. Now, whenever we speak about management, whenever we are speaking in terms of business, the primary goal of a business organization should always be to produce and distribute goods with a point of view to earn profit. On the other hand, if we observe service organization, the goal might be customer satisfaction. Now, service oriented, it can be hospitals, it can be educational institution. So the goal, there shall be difference in terms of what goals are, but definitely management's activity is that it achieves whatever goal has been set forth for it. The third point is that management is universal in nature. That is still, it is a all pervasive activity. It includes everything. It includes every other kind. It includes everyone. It is needed in all types of organization. It can be a university. It can be an army. It can be a club or government. It can be business. It is necessary everywhere. So the basic principle of what management is, it is applicable in all different kinds of business. Not only business, it is applicable in every other organization. But then it is noteworthy that these principles that we are speaking of, they always needs to be applied carefully, especially depending upon the demands of the situation. It has to be applied. Having said management is universal in nature, this management is also a social process. Now, why is it a social process? With a simplest explanation that it involves people, it deals with people, it makes a management is made a social process. Now, to make the best use of human efforts, Managers, they have to create close cooperation among employees in an organization. Now they have to use resources for the benefit of the entire society as a whole. So they have to look after the interests of employees, shareholders, customers, investors, and community, or what we call in business terms as stakeholders of the business.